Jade Helm 15 begins today in Texas. Welcome to SkyWatchTV News for Wednesday, July 15th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. The military training exercise had alarmed some people in the Lone Star State when a map was unveiled showing Texas declared hostile territory for the purposes of this exercise. Some believed it was a precursor to martial law and gun confiscations. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, responding to these concerns, has ordered the Texas State Guard to monitor Jade Helm 15 and report to him. Jade Helm 15 covers 7 states and will run through September. Planned Parenthood responds to accusations of dealing in fetal body parts. The undercover journalist who recorded the top doctor for National Planned Parenthood allegedly discussing how to buy and sell body parts says the group is lying in its response to the video released yesterday. Planned Parenthood issued a statement yesterday denying that it makes money from the sale of fetal body parts and that any revenues received are related to expenses. David Dalidan of the Center for Medical Progress said that in that response, the abortion provider admits that they are, in fact, receiving money and that fetal parts are, in fact, collected at their clinics. Dalidan points to an online ad from a company called STEM Express, which is a partner of Planned Parenthood's, advertising the financial benefit and potential fiscal growth from supplying fetal tissue for biomedical research. A screen capture, which was taken from an archived page from the website of stemexpress.com, shows their price list for fetal liver tissue and a special offer for new customers. As author and pundit Vox Day notes, America is not the new Rome as we once imagined ourselves to be. We have become, in fact, the new Carthage, where the sacrifice of infants was, in the accounts of some of the Roman historians, organized to an almost mechanical efficiency. Well, the sales job to convince Congress to approve the nuclear deal with Iran has begun. President Obama saying that the deal is not built on trust but on verification. For his part, House Speaker John Boehner says Republicans will do everything in their power to stop this deal, except, as I noted yesterday, insist that the United States Senate uphold its constitutional responsibility of approving all foreign treaties by a 2/3 majority. And by the way, Speaker Boehner, since he's in the House of Representatives, wouldn't get a vote on this anyway. But as I mentioned yesterday, even though this deal is probably the least bad option available to us, we should remind you that Iranian-backed militia units in Iraq have been linked to the deaths of at least 500 American soldiers in the fighting in Iraq. Most of those deaths took place during the so-called surge toward the end of the George W. Bush presidency. Soldiers were killed by what were called EFPs, or explosively formed penetrators, a fairly sophisticated explosive device manufactured in Iran and supplied to Shiite militia units in Iraq. As we reported a couple of weeks ago here, some of those militia units are now sharing a military base with American soldiers in Iraq, training the Iraqi military to fight the Islamic State. And just as the Islamic State is making use of American weaponry abandoned by those Iraqi soldiers, American military hardware has now gone missing in Yemen. You see, the United States has sent about $500 million worth of military aid to Yemen since 2007, and some of that hardware may now be in the hands of the Iranian-backed Houthi militia or groups linked to Al-Qaeda. This would include small arms, ammunition, night vision goggles, vehicles, aircraft, patrol boats, and other things, almost $500 million worth, unaccounted for. The Pentagon says they have very little information on where that material is, and there's very little they can do to stop it from falling into the wrong hands. Now, in this program, we've talked several times about the horrific killings at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, which took place almost exactly 1 month ago. 9 people killed by a young white man, allegedly. A new article at the Federalist website, it's an online magazine, opinion pieces mainly, makes an important point about that event and others like it. In the wake of the shootings in Charleston, the media rushed to blame America's latent racism for those deaths. And the accused, Dylan Roth, was definitely motivated by a hatred of African Americans. But what caused that hatred? You see, racism is not the disease, it is a symptom of the disease. What caused the hatred in the first place? Well, columnist Peter Hasson points out that Dylan Roth came from a broken home, which is not a surprise. But furthermore, he notes that of the 27 deadliest mass shootings in American history, 7 of them were committed in the last 10 years by young men under the age of 30. And of those, only one, Virginia Tech shooter Cho Seung-hui, was raised by his biological father since childhood. And Mr. Cho was diagnosed with psychological issues that dated to his childhood. No, the media has blamed religious extremism, psychological issues, drug abuse, depression, bullying for these past tragic events. But family situation is not a topic, not a cause that the predominantly liberal media wants to address. You see, in our society, fathers have become optional, especially since the emergence of no-fault divorce in the late 1960s here in the United States, and even more so in our 21st century gender-fluid culture, where marriage now can be 2 men, 2 women, or 2 other. As Hassan notes in his article, there is a correlation between fatherless children and teen violence, suicide, high school dropout rate, drug and alcohol abuse. In fact, 2 of the strongest correlations between gun homicides are growing up in a fatherless household and dropping out of school, which is itself linked to growing up in a fatherless household. In 1960, 9 years before no-fault divorce was first legalized in America, in the state of California, by Governor Ronald Reagan, by the way, only 5% of American children were born out of wedlock. By 2009, 40 years after the introduction of no-fault divorce, that number had risen to 41%. 41% of children in America in 2009 born in a single-parent household. So when the media blames our culture's latent racism for the next Dylan Roth, let's look at the real cause. Our culture's abandonment of God's plan for the family. 1 man, 1 woman, together, training up their children in the way they should go. In fact, when you think about it, parenting is a form of spiritual warfare. And that's the topic of one of the new articles posted and published in this month's issue of SkyWatch magazine, which is now available online. This is an online magazine. You can read it on a laptop, on a mobile device, such as a tablet or a smartphone. Yes, there's something nice about having a print copy, and I like to go old school with the book myself every now and then, but this is a way for us to distribute these articles by people like Doug Woodward, Doug Overmeyer, in this case, the article about parenting, Seers Sea Ministry, a new contributor to SkyWatch magazine. Also articles from Josh Peck, Doug Krieger, Sharon Gilbert, who is beginning a new series called Icon, Engineering a New God. And she's also released the next installment of her supernatural thriller, Skinwalkers. And I've included an article in this month's magazine on the occult symbolism in the Johnny Depp film Transcendence. It's a way for us, by publishing it online, to distribute the content to you more quickly and, of course, at a much lower cost. You can also then print out the articles if you like, save them as PDF files, and email them to your friends. You'll find that available online at SkyWatchTV.com. Just look in the top menu bar there for the link to Free Magazine to find these new articles. Last night, I watched the interview that I had the privilege to conduct with Gary Stearman several months ago. In fact, this show has been in the can for a little while, and I'd forgotten how interesting that conversation was. We began the first of 2 interviews on his book, Time Travelers of the Bible, How the Hebrew Prophets Shattered the Barriers of Time-Space. I'm a longtime fan of science fiction, and it is fascinating when you begin to read into the Bible, and not read into the Bible, but draw from the Bible the fact that creation is far more complex and interesting than I ever learned in Sunday school. If you didn't get a chance to watch that last night on the Christian Television Network, you can watch it today on our SkyWatch TV Roku channel. If you have a Roku device, you can watch SkyWatch TV programming any time of the day or night on demand. And instructions for adding that to your Roku account are posted at SkyWatchTV.com, or log on to Roku, your Roku account, and search the channel store. You'll find us there. Click an ad, and we appreciate getting a rating from you there as well. Your support to SkyWatch TV means a lot to us. We, of course, very much appreciate and need your prayers, but we certainly appreciate and require your financial support as well. And as our way of thanking you for your gift of $10 or more during the month of July, a very timely book, Dr. Gary Smalley's I Promise How 5 Commitments Determine the Destiny of Your Marriage. Again, your gift of $10 or more gets you that book from SkyWatch TV. Log on to SkyWatchTV.com for instructions on how to donate. And we do appreciate your comments, your suggestions, and your questions. email those to me, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. The email address, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. We thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.